Everyone, we're gonna let people trickle in for about another minute or so, and then we'll get started.
Record. Welcome everyone. Happy Friday. I hope everyone is doing well today. Welcome everyone to the Egan office Chicago as a Mosaics event featuring mindfulness activist and practitioner Ms. Mona Antwan. The Mosaic event is part of a three-part series about community healing. The Mosaic event is a part of The Mosaic team wanted to take time to explore the idea of community healing in the Chicago area from different activists and leaders because of the effects of what COVID-19 has done to our communities, our loved ones, and ourselves. We wanted to learn from people who have been doing this type of work before and after COVID-19, and we hope over the course of this school year, we get to meet some amazing practitioners that will come and speak to us to help us feel more grounded and more centered throughout our daily lives. Before we begin, I want to turn it over to Angela Granica with a land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Cree, for that warm welcome. At DePaul University, we acknowledge that we live and work on traditional Native lands that are home to well over 100 different tribal nations. We extend our respect to all of them, including the Potawatomi, Ojibwe, Ottawa nations, who signed the Treaty of Chicago in 1821 and 1833. We also recognize the Ho-Chunk, Miami, Menominee, Illinois Confederacy, and Peoria people who also maintain relationships with this land. We acknowledge that these sacred homelands were ruptured by the European invasion of the Americas. In 1493, Pope Alexander VI proclaimed the doctrine of discovery, which seized native lands and resources with impunity. This doctrine has been used by countries throughout the Americas, including the US, to legitimize colonial policies of displacement and genocide towards Native peoples, and to justify colonial legacies of white superiority and global capitalism. We appreciate that today, Chicago is home to the 6th largest urban Native population in the United States. We further recognize and support the enduring presence of Native peoples amongst our faculty, staff, and student body. And in the spirit of St. Vincent de Paul, we reaffirm our commitment, both as an institution and as individuals, to help make our community and our society a more equitable, welcoming, and just place for all. Thank you. I will pass it off to Devin.
Thank you, Angela, for that land acknowledgement. Hi, everyone. My name is Devin Keys. I'm in my 3rd year master's program clinical mental health counseling track here at DePaul. And I'm just going to be going over a few housekeeping notes for all of us to follow while we're here at the Zoom event. I want to remind everyone that today we're going to be discussing some issues that everyone will likely have a different perspective on. I want to invite you to actively listen and reflect on your own experiences with this topic. Mona Antwan will be asked a series of questions for about 45 minutes before we turn it over to her for a mindfulness activity. At the bottom of the screen, you'll be able to utilize a chat function that's going to allow you to type any question that you have for Mona. Cree and I will read them aloud for her to answer. And lastly, we want to give you all a friendly reminder that your microphones should remain off for the entirety of this event. Thank you for coming to this event, and we hope that you enjoy. I'm now going to turn it over to Annabelle for an overview of the Egan office. Thank you.
All right, hello everyone. The Egan Office of Urban Education and Community Partnerships continues to provide a platform for community voices and a catalyst for change in Chicago's most disadvantaged communities. The Egan Office has a rich history of integrating academic excellence with authentic community engagement. Our students are situated front and center on critical issues confronting our schools and grapple with the idea of social justice in those spaces. From our Veterans Project to the school-based initiatives, we strive to negotiate an intentional, systematic, and transformative university community approach that would achieve community-identified outcomes. The Egan Office formula for university community engagement follows in the path of Monsieur John J. Egan and John McKnight's approach to community engagement. The activist role that embodied Father Egan confronted unjust systems while at the same time connecting the dots to create impact, particularly in communities of color. McKnight's asset-based approach recognizes that real community building starts from identifying the strengths and the gifts that already exist in the community. I will now turn it over to Angela for a brief introduction to mindfulness.
Hello again, everyone. I'm going to give just an introduction to our topic today, and then we will get into our speaker. So mindfulness is a 4,000-year-old tradition stemming from the yogi practices in India, where training the mind was understood as a means to achieve mental and physical health, emotional equanimity, and perfecting the human condition. The word mindfulness is an English translation of the Pali word sati. Pali is the language in which the teachings of Buddha were originally recorded, and the word sati holds the meanings of awareness, attention, and remembering. Mindfulness is detailed and described in the 25-year-old tradition of Buddhist practice. The purpose of mindfulness in ancient contexts was to eliminate needless suffering by cultivating insight into the workings of the mind and the nature of the material world. Mindfulness practice has been modified for use in psychotherapy, meditation to mitigate anxiety and depression, in healing practices, schools, and now encompasses a broad range of ideas and practices. Mindfulness teachings have influenced the therapy world in helping us shift from a mindset of fixing and changing a person to awareness and acceptance first and change second, as well as by adopting its qualities of non-judgment, acceptance, and compassion. One way to describe it, mindfulness asks us to become aware of what is occurring within and around us. And by doing so, we can begin to untangle ourselves from mental preoccupation and difficult emotions. By directing attention rather than trying to control or suppress intense emotions, we can regulate how we feel. And this is definitely nowhere near an exhaustive definition, and I so look forward to hearing and learning from our guest today. So I'm actually going to turn it right back over to Annabelle to introduce Miss Mona.
All right. Ms. Mona Antwan brings over 19 years of intensive training in mindfulness, 12 years of mentoring youth, and 16 years of experience working in the private sector of Harpo Studios, where she successfully created and implemented the country's very first mentorship program. In her discussion, she will talk about mindfulness through healing and then demonstrate her mindfulness practices. Thank you all for joining us. Casey and I will be our facilitators for the event, and we're just going to go ahead and dive right into it. All right, Ms. Mona, could you give us a more in-depth introduction to yourself and how you started and all the work that you do? And with that, you think that mindfulness should also be brought out more into the public?
Hi, everyone. I'm Mona Antwan, the founder and executive director of Mindfulness Leader. My journey with mindfulness started 5 years ago when I implemented one little after-school program for the city of Chicago's high school students. 2 years after that, it turned into a high school elective for Chicago Public Schools. And in a couple of weeks, our curriculum is going live around the world that will be available to all schools. We're targeting high schools. In 2022, we'll be targeting colleges. I started this organization because growing up as an immigrant here in the city of Chicago, I wasn't heard or seen as a child. And so that had some kind of effect on me growing up. But when I became a mom, I saw how these teachings and life skills weren't really available in schools. And so that really sat heavy on my heart. And I felt like I had all this experience of learning 19 years of mindfulness. Why not put it into good use and spread it to students? I'm so happy to be here and I'm ready to rock and roll with any questions you all have.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Casey Davis, first-year grad student here at DePaul. I'm so excited to be facilitating this questionnaire with Mona, and we're so happy to have you. So my question for you is, how does mindfulness play into the roles of mental health, especially in today's society?
It's everything. Mindfulness is everything. Everything starts in our mind. We start off with a thought. That thought triggers our emotion, and then we're reacting nonstop to things we like and things we don't like, things we agree with and things we don't agree with. And that's why you see in today's world so much division. It's because we're not really taking mindfulness as seriously as we should. It plays a big role in mental health. It's everything. Everything starts in the mind. And so learning these skills help you with your health, help you with your clarity, and help you to achieve your goals and be the person you want to be in this world. I know for myself, I suffer from anxiety, and it helps me a great deal.
All right. I have our next question. How would you describe mindfulness as someone who has no knowledge of the subject?
Yes. It's pretty simple. Mindfulness is just being in the present moment, which is really hard for us because we're usually in the past or in the future with our to-do list and things we didn't get done, right? You notice how your mind wanders. On an average, our mind wanders 47% of the time. So that's just science and facts. And so we're usually in the future or in the past. Mindfulness is just being present, which is really hard. It's easier said than done. It's being hard. And then the second thing is having kind thoughts. We're not really nice to ourselves. If you pay attention to your thoughts throughout the day, you're having a lot of unkind thoughts towards yourself and judgment towards yourself. And so practicing mindfulness starts with you by having kind thoughts for yourself and not judging yourself. And then that way you can give it to the world. So how can you have kind towards yourself and then be a kind neighbor or a good student, right? And so mindfulness, the way I like to break it down to students is there's a lot of definitions and they're all correct, but just to keep it simple, it is having kind thoughts and being present. I love to oversimplify everything because everything is so complicated. So you'll notice in this lecture, I simplify everything.
That's okay. We love it. So the next question is kind of lengthy, so we can go in pieces if you want me to elaborate again. But with your program, you focus on core issues such as reversing generational poverty, showcasing inspirational youth on how to beat the odds, and promoting the importance of self-awareness. So with those core factors that contribute to youth and communities and community success, is there a specific reason why you chose to focus on those core issues within your program? And how have those factors benefited in the long-term success that you've had?
Great question. Well, I was, before I was the mindfulness leader, I was just a 6-year-old immigrant here from Baghdad, Iraq, just a kid. And these life skills that I learned as an adult, I wish I would have had as a child who grew up poor. And so that's why I targeted those principles. Teaching life skills, these kind of life skills, is the most important thing we could do for our children and for us as humans. You know, we spent so much time, for example, we spend so much time taking our kids to sports and practice and music and fussing over their grades, but we're not really doing anything as far as teaching them the power of their mind, right? And teaching them these life skills that will not only impact the individual's life, but also impact the community's life. And so that's why I've decided to focus on those core principles. It was my experience as a child not being heard or seen in schools, not being able to access these life skills. Even when I became a mom, I noticed in the schools they were missing. So I made it a mission of mine to focus on bringing these life skills to the youth. Did I miss anything? And if I did, Casey, please, I love to ask away.
No, I think you answered it pretty well. I know it was a lengthy question, so I apologize for that. So speaking of like how you were growing up and the things that you experienced making you want to do these great things for communities and for schools and within your program, why do you think it is very, very crucial for not only schools in Chicago to practice these different things of mindfulness, but others? Like, do you think that it should start in schools, or do you think it should start at home and then that builds to different schools and different communities, and then people will be able to take that with them when they become parents or when they jump into their careers?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it can start wherever it starts. You know, if you don't have parents to teach you this, it's kind of hard to learn. You know what I mean? Like, I have exceptional parents, but they unfortunately weren't around growing up because we were immigrants. They were each working 3 jobs. So it was left to the schools for me to learn whatever I was learning, you know, here in this new country that I was not a fan of because it wasn't so kind. But these life skills are definitely missing in the workplace, in schools. And if you guys, I don't know if you guys keep up, but teen suicide rates are up 60%. They're the highest. Like, mental health has just hit its all-time high numbers because of COVID, right? And now more than ever, these skills are so important to learn. And that's why here at Mindfulness Leader, we've made it a mission. As we turn 5 years old, we're rolling out this curriculum. We want to get to everybody. We want to get to everyone, but it's a matter of, it being recognized that these are helpful. This is a 200-hour curriculum. They're really learning. It's not just meditation, that sort of thing. People are a little, when I say people, I mean like schools and organizations are like, oh, mindfulness, that goes with meditation and that's what it is. But it's not, it's more than that, it's 200 hours more than that, because, it's important to teach adults, young students, seniors, parents that we really do everything. Everything really does start in our mind. And if we're not in control of our bad thoughts, it is triggering our emotions, and then we're feeling some type of way. And then you see the violence and you see the retaliation and you see people being snarky with each other about politics, right? That all has to do with the chatter in their mind and the skills they never got to learn these lessons. And so it's just really important for my organization to spread the mindfulness and to have people understand that it all starts with you. You want to heal the community, you have to heal yourself first. And so I hope I answered that. And I And I love talking, guys. So if I talk too much, just let me know.
All right. My question for you is, I'm sorry. What would you say is the most influential age where mindfulness is very critical?
Honestly, I started with my kids. My two kids were my two first students because I felt, this was really important for them to learn since I had learned it. And I wanted them to grow up a little bit differently than I did, with being intentional. But in all honesty, like we train teachers, we train students, we train adults, seniors. It doesn't matter what age you start as long as you start, because then you start to feel good because we all harness the power that we're born with, but no one's ever taught us that we could actually tap into our higher self and actually operate from there and make our life a lot easier, you know? Um, so you can really start at any age, to be honest with you, because I've seen it with my own kids, to seniors that I'm teaching, to teachers, to, high school students and college students. And so getting started is the most important thing. And having mindfulness recognize that it falls within the mental health category. And it is important for us to expose, especially in schools nowadays, especially having to go through COVID and all that, right? Can I ask, did anybody have any kind of feelings when they were not able to do what they were normally to do because we were all stranded in the house for COVID, right? Didn't you just go to the worst place in your mind and just create on that and just, right? I mean, even I did it, but I always, what helps me is going to my own classes, and I wanted to mention that we have a mindfulness leader teacher right now. Besides myself, Julia is our lead instructor. She's a student at DePaul. She's a junior. She started with us when she was a sophomore, and so just wanted to give one of my teachers a shout out. She's awesome, guys. Get to know her. She's a blue demon.
That is amazing. Thank you so much. My next question is, do you think that mindfulness is being adopted by the mainstream quickly? And if so, does this help or hinder?
I don't think it's being adopted quickly. I only say that because um, when schools approach me, they're already into it. But if they don't know anything about it, they're just kind of like, that's religious. We don't practice that kind of religion. And it's mindfulness is not religious. It's just science. But it's not, for me, it's not being adopted fast enough. I saw the light in 2020 when everybody was like, oh, we can take a stab at this because, um, the whatchamacallit is hit the fan. And so for me, I don't feel like it's adopted fast enough, if that helps or it doesn't help.
Yeah, I definitely think it does help answer that question. And then I guess piggying back off of that, you talked about how mindfulness can start at different ages. But I do know that like with mental health, it's very important to start that at such a young age, and how critical mental health is important to start at like adolescent ages and then work your way up as you become an adult. So with that and having mindfulness and mental health kind of combined, I know that education is a very important factor in knowing what it is that's going on in your mental state. So when you have people that are from different backgrounds, very diverse backgrounds and different upbringings, how is it that, are there any tips or any advice that you can give someone who is not as privileged to have that background where they can be educated on mental health and mindfulness? How does that work hand in hand education wise with those who have those resources compared to those who don't have those resources?
Yeah. Well, for us as an organization, we offer free programming. And so like, if anybody wants to sign up for programs, we give out free programs, whether you're a college student, a senior, And, one of the things that we like to share when somebody comes to our organization and they're interested in mindfulness and they're not really sure where it falls with mental health and if they should give it a shot or not, we just say, you know what? You don't have to know anything about the subject. It's not religious. It's really whatever you put into it. You're the project. You're going to be doing this work. We're going to teach you how to monitor your thoughts, how to have garbage removal, how to bring your emotions up, how to connect to your higher self. And so we kind of break it down and simplify it for them. So they're like, okay, I don't need a degree in this in order to sign up for this program, because sometimes they're a little embarrassed that what they don't know, but in all honesty, when we connect with a school or students reach out to us to sign up, nobody has to know anything about this subject to join the programs, and it's whatever you put in it. So I'll give you an example. Julia, our lead instructor, runs the after school paid apprentice program. And we always say to the high school students, if you don't meditate and have that garbage removal, it didn't affect me one way or the other. Everything you're doing is for you. So it's whatever you put into it. It's kind of like studying for a math test. If you don't study for that math test, you're not going to make that great grade. And so mindfulness, we explain it that way. It's whatever you put into it. You know what I'm saying? We can't buzz you throughout the day when you have a negative thought. You know what I'm saying? You have to catch yourself. And so usually people are ready and willing to take a stab at doing this work on themselves, and then they join programs or express an interest in bringing it to their schools. But this is something, your mom can't do for you, your teacher can't do. No one can do this work for you. You have to do it. And, you're the best project you're ever going to work on. So why not invest a little bit of time into yourself and give yourself that peace so you can give that peace to your community?
All right. Why do you think it is important for communities in Chicago and different cultures to do and practice mindfulness?
It's all about the oneness. That's what we really are. So I'll give you an example. I am in a cohort with the Chicago Peace Fellows, right? So I graduated in 2020, and you have 18 non-for-profit leaders doing good, coming together, doing good. Mindfulness is the same with community leaders. If we could all come together for the greater good, for the higher consciousness, so that we could all move along in doing some kind of good together. And really, everybody has a different perspective, and that is okay. But it's when leaders don't agree that kind of causes a little bit of conflict. And so mindfulness helps, because it helps you to break down that, even though Casey and I have different perspectives, we're still on the same team. She might want to serve girls from 4 to 8. I might want to serve them from 12. We both want to do good. And mindfulness helps in practicing these calming techniques that help you to regulate your thoughts and your emotions. If I could put it in a pill to sell, I would, I promise. But this is something we all have to do ourselves. And so, and it is especially important for community leaders, because I work with so many great community leaders that I don't agree with, but we don't all have the same target purpose. And mindfulness helps me as an individual to be like, you know what? This leader, Casey over here, is doing it this way. I disagree. But, Mona, you're having a negative thought. That's your fear coming up. That's your judgment coming up. And it's a nice reminder, because if you pay attention to yourself, you are judging all day long. And the minute you stop that, it's almost like you feel some kind of relief, and you're like, what is that? It's a mindfulness buzz is what it is. Yeah. I hope I answered that.
You did. You're doing a great job. So our final question before we transition into your lecture for today, it's going to be, how can students at DePaul get involved with your organization and learn more about mindfulness, especially since you're looking to expand to high school and college level?
Yeah. So we're in high schools. We're looking to expand to colleges.
Part.
We'd love for DePaul students to go to our website, mindfulnessleader.org, and either sign up for a free program, whether it's in person or right now we have them over Zoom. We have an evening class completely free. Join a program, join to volunteer. Like we're having a celebration next week. You know, we'd love to have some DePaul volunteers, but there's always ways to get involved with our organization. Just go to our website and fill out the little sheet, and we'll reach back out to you with whatever we have going on. And we'll put you on a mailing list, and we'll let you know the events we have coming up and ways you can get involved. And so we'd love for the students at DePaul to come get involved with Mindfulness Leader. I also have a son who attends DePaul. I'm a huge fan of DePaul. So come on down, everybody.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mona, for answering those questions. Everyone, this concludes the question and answer portion of today's event. So right now we're going to transition into Mona's lecture about mindfulness. And then after that, when she's done, we will open it up to a Q&A. So she's going to get into her lecture and then get into her activity, and then we're going to transition into the Q&A. So Mona, whenever you're ready.
Yes. Cree, can I bother you to play that mindfulness video? Before I start talking about this subject, I want you guys to watch this little cute video, because we at Mindfulness Leader, we love explaining everything and sharing our curriculum, but we feel like some videos are fun to watch as well. So take a look. It's super short. Please pay attention. It's so good.
You may have heard this word mindfulness. It's become something of a buzz phrase of late. I'm going to give you one simple, serviceable definition, which is this. Mindfulness is the ability to know what's happening in your head at any given moment without getting carried away by it. Imagine how useful this could be. Just as an example, you're driving down the road and somebody cuts you off in traffic. How do you normally react? I think most of us, we normally react by having a thought, which is, I'm pissed. And then what happens next? You immediately, habitually, reflexively inhabit that thought. You actually become pissed. There's no buffer between the stimulus and your reaction. With just a little bit of mindfulness, in that same situation, you might notice my chest is buzzing, my ears are turning red, I'm having a starburst of self-righteous thoughts, I'm getting angry. But you don't necessarily have to act on it and chase that person down the road, screaming at them with your kids in the back of the car thinking you've gone nuts. Now, you might be thinking, don't I need to get angry sometimes? Aren't I justified? I would say yes, but probably not as much as you think. The proposition here is not that you should be rendered by mindfulness into some lifeless, non-judgmental blob. The proposition is that you should learn how to respond wisely to things that happen to you, rather than just reacting blindly. And that, my friends, is a superpower. How do you get it? The way to get it is through meditation. I believe that meditation and mindfulness are the next big public health revolution. In the 1940s, if you told somebody you were going running, they would have said, who's chasing you? But then what happened next? The scientists swooped in, they showed that physical exercise is really good for you, and now all of us do it, and if we don't, we feel guilty about it. And that's where I think we're headed with mindfulness and meditation. It's going to join the pantheon of no-brainers like brushing your teeth, eating well, and taking the meds your doctor prescribed for you. Let me just close by saying, mindfulness is not going to solve all of your problems. It's not going to render your life a nonstop parade of unicorns and rainbows. Nonetheless, this is a superpower, and one that is accessible by you immediately.
I get so excited every time I watch that video. Like, mindfulness is new to me. Like, I get to control the way I respond just by controlling my emotions and thoughts. Sounds so easy, doesn't it? But you all know it is super hard, right? It's super hard. Does anybody suffer with bad thoughts throughout the day? Yeah, right? You suffer with bad thoughts. So do you guys know who's doing that to you? It's you. You're doing it to yourself. So cut it out. You are going around and you are having bad thoughts because someone has trained us that that is just what happens, and life is unfair and it is what it is. But it's not like that at all. We actually, as humans, we have a lot of power. It just, the self-discipline is exhausting. I have to tell you, when I don't meditate, I'm not as bubbly and friendly than when I do meditate, right? And so it's not just about meditation, it's about mindfulness, and monitoring our thoughts, monitoring our emotions. It's exhausting, guys. It's exhausting. But what happens is when we just let our day run us, what happens when our day just runs us? You get that call, somebody spills that coffee on you, you're just in a bad day. Is it a bad day or just a bad 2 minutes, right? So we have a lot of power to say, okay, this just happened. Casey just stepped on my foot and spilled coffee all over me. This is not my whole day. This is just a moment at the student center and it was an accident. I know she's out to get me. I know she is. Casey, you out to get me. Just joking. But we have so much power. And what I want to talk about is the power of our mind. And so I started with our thoughts, which is really, really important. I want everybody here, when you leave today, play a little game. When you wake up tomorrow, just pay attention to your thoughts and even jot them down. Jot down the negative thoughts you're having. And then think to yourself, where does that come from? Where does that come from? Who said to you that you look fat? That now you have this chatter in your mind telling you you look fat every time you think you look cute, right? Who said that? Was it your grandma? Was it your friend joking around? Now you're playing that broken tape, right? And so what I'm really talking about is rewiring our mind through mindfulness and a little bit of meditation, right? And so tomorrow, I hope you all get up and jot down all your bad thoughts and start murdering them right away. Okay. And by murder, I just mean like rewiring them, because you don't know what you don't know, right? And so you probably are not even, you're unconscious that you're doing it because you've been doing it for so long. But what happens is when you begin to practice mindfulness, you have to be very present and very aware of your thoughts and your emotions. Now, I know for me, I had a thought, I had a third grade teacher who told me I was stupid, because I don't know, I think she was having a bad day and I had really just learned to speak English. So I was feeling really fabulous, but she said I was stupid. So for a lot of years, I had the thought that I was stupid, right? This is just an example. I no longer think this way. Nobody needs to feel sorry for me. I have to share with you guys for you to share with yourselves. That's what mindfulness is. And so when I got to the part where, I was an adult and I was doing things that thought would linger back. Oh, you can't do this. You're stupid, right? Because some great teacher said I was stupid in the third grade. So that thought stayed with me. And that's what's happening with a lot of you. You have a lot of thoughts not serving you because somebody had a bad day or said something to you. And really, when people say things to you like that, they're really just self-reflecting, In all honesty, the teacher probably felt like she was stupid and she was just self-reflecting. So I don't take that personally as an adult. Didn't even really pay attention to it when I was young, but I noticed as a professional adult, I would have this thought, and where did that thought come from? So when I started paying attention to my thoughts, I thought that's where that negative thought came from. It didn't come from nowhere. And now Mona Antwan's been singing this song for 15 years and it's not even true. And so long story short, every time it came time for me to do something, when that thought would come up, Mona, you're stupid, I would replace it with, that's not true. That's not true. And I would tell that thought to fly off. In the program, we say something else. We say F off because students like to hear a teacher swear. It excites them and it resonates with them more. So one thing you might notice if you ever enter our classroom is students shouting out fly off or F off, because we're talking to those thoughts that just come out of nowhere, that kill our confidence, that have just been lingering around, right? Show of hands, anybody, just by me talking, anybody have anything come up where they're like, you know what, Mona, I can relate. I've had this thought for 20 years. I've been calling myself fat or something dumb or something. Can anybody relate to what I'm talking about, right? And so, you know, these adults, people, we don't mean to do these things where we're dropping these bad seeds to be fertilized, but it happens, right? But the great thing about mindfulness is because you learn to become present in the moment and become aware of your thoughts and emotions, you have to then interview those thoughts in order to shift them and rewire them. Where did that come from? Oh, that came from my teacher who said that. And now every time I hit a roadblock in my professional career, that's what I'm thinking of myself, right? I totally discount all my success and how I've been guided perfectly my whole life to where I am, right? Nothing has gone wrong. This awareness is so freeing and liberating and such a game changer to one's soul. And for me, I'm so passionate. I don't know if you could tell, I'm so passionate about spreading the good word on mindfulness and how, you know, it could really not only heal your heart, but heal your soul and have you connect to something higher. And so catching your thoughts, rewiring them, and changing the subject. If you could just do that tomorrow, guys, it's so hard. It sounds really easy, but just try it and see what comes out of it, because it's whatever you put into it, that's what you get back. No one can do this work for you in your mind. You have to do it yourself. So if you're sitting here, that means you've made time to learn about this subject, and I applaud you for showing up, but go another step and tomorrow monitor your thoughts and see where they came from and start to rewire them so that on Monday when you're in class and the thought is like, oh man, I'm going to just fail this. It's like, nope, that's not true. Fly off, change the subject, but that's how you get to break down negative thoughts in your mind. Because there's no such thing as being positive. You know what I'm saying? People are like, oh, be positive, be mindful. Those are just words. I'm suffering with the bad thoughts in my mind that I'm aware of and I'm not aware of. So we have to start there, right? Does anybody have any questions about what I'm talking about? I want to make sure I'm not going too fast because I'm going over a 200-hour curriculum and I'm just giving you little pieces. And so I just, you know, while I'm talking about thoughts, does anybody have any questions?
There are some in the chat, but we were going to wait until you were done to read those out. But if anything is pressing for those who did ask, Sierra, I know you had one. If you like to ask it now, then I think, or I can ask it for you. I think it's relevant. She was just asking about how to approach the negative chatter when there's a lot of it and it's snowballing. What would be your advice for that?
That's super easy. Change the subject in your mind. You are driving the car. It's you. You're doing everything to yourself. You just don't know you have that power. You got to harness that power by saying, wait a minute. I'm having this negative thought about my grades, my relationship, my business. I need to step away for a minute. I need to go and sit down, maybe have some tea, go for a walk, listen to some music, do something that makes me feel better, and then try to go back into my mind. You know, that's the best thing you could do. What really helps with all that chatter, because we have chatter going all the time and it's nonstop. And this is how it actually, the chatter is in your mind. And when you begin to practice mindfulness and meditation, it just kind of, that chatter kind of slows down. And then it's just like, not 10 negative thoughts in 1 hour. It's one thought. And then you can beat that thought down by saying, no, that's not true. Is there an example of a thought that you want to, a negative thought that you want to share, how we can combat that together?
Wait, is it all right if I unmute? Or?
Yeah, please.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure because I don't want to take away because I know we have a short period of time. I think that this quarter has been very challenging, like adjusting. Also, just to know my computer's about to die, so I'm going to try to get this out so I can plug in my laptop. But I've had so much going on that I feel very scattered, and like I think that my classes have been pushed to the side, and then I've let things snowball. So it's like approaching that mindfully and not like getting down on myself by one quarter. So I think that's been challenging, I guess.
You have to be kind to yourself. Sierra, you have to be kind to yourself. And that's what mindfulness is. It's having kind thoughts towards yourself. Your mind is racing. It's racing with negativity. I'm not doing good enough in school. I've put this to the side. Now, if your friend Mona Antwan was asking you, Sierra, for advice, how would you talk to me? Because we talk to our friends and strangers nicer than we talk to ourselves in our own mind. Have you noticed that? And that's what we really have to catch ourselves doing. We can't give any peace or any healing if we don't give it to ourselves first. So be gentle with yourself, be kind to yourself by having kind thoughts. Whatever happened 5 minutes ago, it's in the past. And so leave it there. You're going to class tomorrow, leave it there. What can you do in the present moment? Maybe you can sit for 10 minutes and listen to a rain meditation just to kind of catch your breath. You know what I'm saying? It sounds like when I talk about meditation, sometimes people are like, oh, I don't have time for that. I'm so busy. I don't. So if you don't have time for meditation, you're the person who needs meditation, right? It's like, I didn't have time to eat. I didn't have time to shower. I didn't have time to sleep. You feel like crap, you smell like crap, and you look like crap, right? So that's what we're doing to our mind when we don't give our mind a little bit of mindfulness, a little bit of time to just sit and meditate for 10 minutes, right? So Sierra, tomorrow when you get up in the morning, write down all your negative thoughts and see where they come from. And most likely you'll go down the list and be like, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. I'm going to practice being kind. I'm going to practice being kind. I'm going to practice being present. That should be everybody's mantra, being kind and to yourself and being present. Because that's all we're ever doing as humans. I noticed that we're so much nicer to strangers than we are to ourselves, myself included. I'll compliment somebody and look at myself and be like, oh, that dress makes you look fat. And it's like, where did that come from? Oh, when I was 15 pounds overweight. I'm still seeing myself that way, right? And so you guys better be nice to yourselves because you're all mindfulness leaders now, all right? I hope I answered the question on thoughts, Sierra. I want to go into our emotions and why our emotions are such a big deal, right? Because what happens is you have that thought, oh, I'm not smart enough. What happens? Now you're triggering that emotion. Now I feel worthless. Now I feel bad. Now I feel sad. Now I feel helpless, right? And what do you think you are admitting out into the world with your emotions when you feel so low? What can you give? What can you give the world? What can you give the community? What can you give your children, the people around you, if you're down emotionally, right? So in the Mindfulness Leader Program, we are really big on working on our emotions every day. And I wish I had 6 hours to go into it, but I can't emphasize the importance of really making yourself happy, just little things throughout the day that elevate your emotions so that your thoughts are checked, your emotions are checked, and you're bringing the peace for yourself and to your community, right? And so how many of you all feel like sometimes emotionally you're just more down than more up, right? That's normal. It's because we're like all living on Zoom, right? Or the Google platform, and we're not having enough movement. A really fun way we tricked our students into feeling better is We do this emotional check-in in the classroom. And whenever we have students who are angry or sad, we tend to target those students into like playing physical games, because any physical activity will help your emotions rise on the emotional scale, right? Because as humans, we live all over this emotional scale. We're at the top happy, and we can't be happy all day because we have a pulse and it's just not normal to be happy all the time. Then we're hopeful, we're angry, and then we're sad. Sad is the lowest, right? And there's about 500 words that fall into each category. But what you want to do is just kind of learn some things about you that help you emotionally feel better. Physical movement is always best. I don't necessarily mean exercise. It could be, I'll tell you, I prepared for this meeting today by dancing for an hour before I showed up, because I really wanted my emotions to be here. In fact, I joined early and my music was blasting. I was so embarrassed because, you know, supposed to be the mindfulness leader and be so calm and zen, but no, it's just like tricking my emotions to get to where they are going up and where I'm feeling a little happy. It's different for everybody. You know, for me, it might be dancing and cooking. For Casey, it might be, you know, what is it for you, Casey? The reason I'm like interacting with you guys now, even though you have questions, is because a lot of you all have questions, and you're too shy and you're putting them in the chat. But as soon as someone says something, then it resonates with everybody. And then you have real examples. And so, Casey, what are some things that make you feel happy when you're doing them physically?
Oh, okay. Some things that make me happy are like singing along the music, doing photography, or writing for like my scripts and stuff like that. Anything that's content based that I do for my media production makes me very, very happy.
Well, there you go. Thank you for sharing, Casey. So now Casey has that in her bag. You know, in the program we call that Raise Your Vibe page, which vibe really just means your emotions, right? But nobody wants to think about raising their emotions. That sounds so weird. You know, so we speak the language our students speak, because it's not about the words we use, it's about them hearing our message and putting it into action, right? And so you hear a lot of songs talking about don't kill my vibe, or you got bad vibes, or good vibes only. Really what they're referring to is your emotions. And so if you can learn to elevate yourself, like Casey just shared, these are some things that make her feel happy. So if emotionally you're feeling down, you can go do some of these things. If you include a little bit of activity, like going for a walk, dancing. I know when you were talking about singing, I know you sing and dance at the same time. Casey, don't try to hide that. I know you do. So if you can learn some things about you that make you happy emotionally, jot them down so that when you're low on the scale, you can bring up your emotions. That will help with your thoughts by having kind thoughts and being present. Between your emotions being here and your thoughts being regulated here, you're 100% now practicing mindfulness, because you got your emotions and your thoughts in check. And that is everything, because what's usually happening? We're usually responding to whatever's happening. Oh, she spilled coffee on me. Crap, I'm so angry now. My whole day is ruined, right? But if you're regulating your emotions and you're regulating your thoughts, that's not really going to bother you as much, right? It's not going to bother you as much. And so our emotions play a big role in practicing mindfulness. And then the last little piece that is my all-time favorite is when you do vibe here with your emotions, you're high on the emotional scale, you're doing the things that make you emotionally happy when you don't feel well, right? So Sierra, you're having some kind of anxiety for all the school stuff that's going on, right? And you want to get it all under control. Do some fun things, some fun activities that help you move out that energy, right? Because our energy gets stuck and it's asking us to move when we're feeling sad or angry, right? And so you ever been sad and then get angry, you feel better angry? It's because you're better off being angry than you are being sad, because the sadness and the fear is the lowest point where you could be emotionally. And when you get a little bit angry, you're getting your power back, but now don't pitch a 10th there. It's, you know, just keep moving past it, get angry, and you'll start doing some of your activities that make you feel good, maybe going for a walk, jogging, listening to music, whatever it is that you have sat down and intentionally wrote down. These are the 5 things that I can go to when I'm feeling low emotionally, right? So that I can practice mindfulness. And so it's a really big deal because you want to get to connecting to your higher self. So we're all born with it. It's called intuition. We in the program call it your GPS. So you know how you have a GPS in your phone that gives you directions and you don't even have to know where you're going, right? We're all born with our own GPS. We're connected to something higher, right? So in the 3rd grade, when I wasn't heard or seen and I was labeled as stupid, that was a gift to me. And the reason it was a gift, it forced me to go within and connect to my GPS and connect to that thing that was higher. And so that would give me a lot of comfort, even though I wasn't really sure of all the words that went behind it. But what do you all think about connecting to your intuition and your higher place and flowing from there? Do I sound crazy for saying that? Okay. Because if you're religious, they talk about it in church. And if you're not religious, they talk about connecting to your higher self, right? It's just like the toaster is never going to work unless you plug it in, right? Your bagels will never be toasted until you plug it in. So practicing this mindfulness of this mind chatter and raising your emotions helps you to connect to that thing that you were born with, that GPS, and you flow from there. And then you get like a mindfulness buzz, you know? And so a lot of things that have happened to me in the 5 years that I've been running this charity haven't been because I'm the smartest or greatest anything. The only thing I have going for myself is practicing mindfulness. And that mindfulness is helping me to connect to my higher self. And when your higher self is communicating with you, it just sounds like your voice. Casey, I don't think you should take this project. Devin, I think you should go to that class. It sounds just like you. It's guiding you. Tune into that guidance, and what follows you? Happiness, success, peace. I mean, if you looked at what I've done in 5 years, you would think that, you know, I've done all these great things, but I've only done them because I've been connected to that GPS that I was born with. And I've been connecting to it since I was in the 3rd grade. And it's not that I'm lucky, it's that I'm intentional. I'm intentional about keeping my emotions elevated here because, you know, I get down, I'm human. You know, you go to the doctor, they give you a result, they scare the bejesus out of you. And it's just like, you're suffering, right? Even though you're supposed to be happy, you're suffering. So how do you deal with that, right? Mindfulness really helps you to deal with a lot of things because it gives you the higher perspective, that God perspective, that universe perspective, that thing that was in you when you were born, that is forever your soul, right? And so, you know, and then I'm just going to go into how we can go into connecting to our higher selves, how we can go into quieting our mind. And I'm not going to share with you guys the benefits of meditation, but I promise if you Google the benefits of meditation, you'll be so overwhelmed by Google, right? But like that mental clarity, the peace, for me, it's really the peace. Not getting up and wanting to punch someone in the face is fabulous, right? Because sometimes you get so angry, you're just like, what is wrong with me, right? But these are normal feelings because we are in human bodies. And so this is what I say to the students when we are learning about meditation. Has anybody ever not taken the garbage out in your kitchen and you've just left it there for days or weeks and then your kitchen smelled, right? That's what's kind of happening in our mind. We have very stinky minds because we have not learned how to take that garbage out. So we have all this garbage. We have thoughts from the 3rd grade and high school and our career. And my boss said this, and it's just like this. And it's just all garbage. Seeds, people that have planted in us, whether it was intentional or not. It's just all garbage sitting there. So what meditation does is when you sit quietly to listen to a sound, you can have a mantra. You can come up with your own mantra. You can Google a mantra, but my favorite thing is just listening to some kind of sound, the air conditioning, the lawnmower machine, planes, the wind, the leaves. Today we're going to be listening to a waterfall. So what will happen in meditation is you will sit to listen to this mantra, the sound for an X amount of time, right? And what you're doing in that moment is you're rewiring your mind by having that garbage removal. You know, it's equivalent to sitting on the toilet, using the bathroom and flushing it as well. I know that's a really gross analogy, but I'm trying to get you all excited to meditate so you can have that garbage removal, right? How many of you all want to have garbage removal in your life? Right? Yes. So we all want to have that garbage removal. And it's really simple and it's free. You could do it in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening. Just sit for 10 minutes, play your mantra, find a sound on YouTube that you like, and listen to that. You're going to have thoughts, and it's completely normal because you have a pulse and you're human. You're going to have that thought that says, you're never going to be done with this, Mona. And don't forget, you got to go to Jewel. And then you're going to have that thought, and then you're going to go back to that sound, which is your mantra. You're going to be doing this kind of like playing ball back and forth for the whole time you're meditating. But the longer you meditate, it slows down. You know, so if you sit there and say, I couldn't meditate, that just means you had a lot of garbage removal and you were just having thoughts nonstop. And finally, somebody took that stinky garbage out the kitchen, right? Has anybody ever explained meditation like that before? Right? I got to get you all excited because really, everything starts in our mind. The power of our mind is like everything, right? It determines whether I'm going to be successful or if I'm going to be a loser or if I'm going to be happy or if I'm going to give to my community. And so I just feel like these life skills are so important for human beings to learn because we're all taking up space here on Earth. And how are you paying your rent back to the universe? You know, are you going around campus being unkind to yourself? Unkind to others, right? How are you have to think about how am I paying it forward, and that includes myself, right? And so it's people think of mindfulness like a luxury or like almost like a massage, but it's actually something you have to practice every day. Just like if you want to be a great basketball player, you're going to have to practice every day, right? It's the same with mindfulness. You know, you become aware of your thoughts, you regulate your emotions, you meditate, you have that garbage removal so you can connect to your higher self. And you live from that space, giving the peace to yourself, to your community, and to the world. And so that concludes my lecture. If anybody has questions, we're going to go and do a meditation. And if anybody has questions about that, feel free to put them in the chat. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Took 200 hours of curriculum and crammed it down to 20 minutes.
Thank you, Ms. Mona. I read off a question without realizing there was one asked by our family engagement coordinator, Mia, who asked about how we can implement more mindfulness into the work that we do. We're really rooted in parent and family engagement in our work because we know that that's one of the main avenues to getting students to do well at school. If their families are rooted in their education and encouraging them at home. And so for families who face specific struggles to what's going on in Chicago, how would you say we can help them or assist them in implementing mindfulness more?
Well, I guess it would start with your department and implementing it in your own department where you guys have allowed time for students to come in for 15 minutes, do a meditation, talk about what's going on as far as how you're feeling, what you're struggling with, and kind of go back to the principles that I'm teaching about, like the power of the mind and how, it's just a little practice. It's really hard to do on your own. But like, for example, these parents that you're talking about, these families, these students, if you set something up within your department and you were like, every day for 12 to 15 minutes, we're going to do a group meditation, or we're going to do a lecture. We're just going to talk about mindfulness for 10 minutes every day. Now you're starting to build that culture where this is the norm, and practicing being good to ourselves comes first, because if we don't give anything to ourselves, we have nothing to give. And so, and also, your department and these parents are welcome to also join up for free programming with us. But I know that when I worked for Oprah Winfrey for 16 years, I know that she made time for her employees to meditate every day for 20 minutes. And so if my boss had a problem with it, I didn't really care, because the big boss implemented it, and I was going to go do this for myself, even though, my boss didn't believe in it, or, but I just think that when a department starts to practice it, then they begin to spread it. Does that help?
Yes, that's good advice. I like how you said, if you practice that within yourself, then you have more to give. And I think framing it that way for parents who want to be the best parents they can, that would particularly intrigue them to practice more mindfulness. Cree, am I missing any other questions in the chat? Maria, I know you were typing one. Oh, I see one. Go ahead.
No, it has been exactly what she answered. So.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, we have one from Father Alphonse, and then once we get this question, we're going to move to the meditation, and then we'll reopen up for questions and answers. But Father Alphonse asks, how do you control mindfulness with the environment that might be affecting the self-created peace of mind?
Yeah. Well, it goes back to your thoughts. It goes back to what you're thinking, what story you're telling yourself, what perspective you have, right? It goes back to you. Everything falls on what's happening in your mind. And so you have to kind of change the narrative of whatever you've been telling yourself. Kind of, for example, when I was telling myself all those years, I wasn't smart enough, right? And so really it starts with our thoughts, and it's regulated through our emotions, and the practice and the ritual of it every day. It's one thing to talk about it. It's one thing to implement it in a department, but to actually do it every day is so exhausting. It's like another job, but you have to put this work into yourself if you want to see the results in yourself, And so, like for me, if I don't feel well, I don't work on any of my projects. I go and practice mindfulness, because what am I giving out if I don't feel good? If I'm sad and crying, how am I going to do a great workshop for you guys? Right? And so you have to give yourself that peace in any which way you can, hopefully through these mindfulness practices that I'm talking about, and then you can give it out.
I don't know. Sorry, Cree. Thank you very much for the answer. But the thought that has just come into my mind, once I do that, don't you think I will be like ignoring the other people and creating the indifference among the other people, and I'm supposed to be responsive to others? That's my concern too. Thank you.
You're welcome. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you did. You did. Thank you very much for your answer. Thank you.
Thank you. It's hard to make people happy, especially if they don't understand what your intention is, So, Father, you have good intention. You're trying to be a mediator. You're trying to bring people together, but this person on this side might have this perspective. This person might have this perspective. So you just got to bring them down and bring them to that God perspective, that higher perspective. There's something greater than all of us going on here. And it's our job while we're on earth to connect to it if you want to have the best life experience, you know, because really at the end of the day, we're just all one. And so the fact that we're bickering and fighting with one another and dividing ourselves is just so painful. I know for you, Father, to watch, it's painful for me to watch, because that's not why we were born. And, you know, mindfulness is such a fluffy word. But really it's teaching these life skills. I've made it my mission to teach these life skills because we all have the potential to be our greatest self and to be good to ourselves and to be good to our community and be good to the world. You know what I'm saying? But it's so scary to tap into because it requires you dedicating your life every day and investing in yourself. But like I said earlier, you're the best project you'll ever work on. So why not give yourself this gift, especially if we are offering it for free, right? Yeah. I told you, Cree, I like to talk. I'll be on here talking till midnight today.
No, we love it. I know I've enjoyed this a lot. I really, really did. And I wish you could talk for more, but I know it's time for us to move into the meditation if that's okay. So I will share my screen with the sound and I will let you lead it. So thank you, Simona.
So Cree, can you set a 12-minute timer so that so you stop it in 12 minutes? So everyone, we're going to do a meditation, and this is what you're going to do. You're going to sit up. If you're laying down, you're just taking a nap. There's no such thing as meditating laying down. There's no such thing. Okay. That's a nap, and a nap is wonderful. But what meditation does is a nap, you will rise here emotionally. Meditation will help you rise as far as you can rise emotionally. Okay. And so that's really powerful. Thinking about connecting to our higher self requires us to have that garbage removal, right? And so this is not religious at all. In case you are religious, or this is not religious, this is just science. We're going to have some garbage removal. Take that stinky garbage out the kitchen, and we're going to sit with our eyes closed like this. And you might feel like you have to move a little bit, and that's normal. You know, just don't get up and start walking around. Listen to the mantra, which is the sound of the water. And when you have a thought, it's okay. Just go back to listening to that sound. You'll have a thought, go back to listening to that sound. You'll do this for 12 minutes where you feel like I didn't do nothing, but that's what garbage removal is. And then eventually you reach a space where you don't have as many thoughts, but having all those thoughts just means you're taking out the garbage, and congratulations on having your mind not stink no more, right? And so who's all ready to be the best version of themselves and meditate so we can levitate and connect to our higher selves and flow from there and not work so hard, right? I'm ready to dance, y'all. Okay, I'll be quiet. I am going to sit here and meditate with my camera on so you can see how I am not perfect at doing this, even though I've been doing it for over a decade. I'm not perfect. I'm just human, and I'm just going to close my eyes and focus on that sound. When we get done, sit there for 30 seconds to a minute. Don't try to move. Go on your phone because you'll agitate yourself, and then we'll go into questions. All right. Happy meditating, everyone. So just sit there for a second or two. Don't move. You could open your eyes. You could move your neck around. Don't go on your phone. Don't move yourself too quickly. You will agitate yourself and accidentally give yourself a headache. So even though it feels like you didn't do anything and you sat there and had nothing but thoughts for 12 minutes, it's okay. You had garbage removal, and you got to be really gentle with yourself right now coming out of it, even though it doesn't feel like you did anything. You did something. And so just be gentle with yourself. And I would love to hear your experience on how this meditation went for you. Was it hard? Was it easy? Did you feel like moving? Did you have a lot of thoughts? Did your mind ever settle? So we'll do a quick check-in, and then we could go into our questions. I hope everybody is feeling like they have a little peace in them, because what we do every day matters and grows. And so if you're going to practice mindfulness, incorporate a little meditation, if you're going to do this every day, then at the end of the week, you are a person who practices mindfulness, being intentional on your emotions, being intentional on the clarity of your thoughts. And so this is not going to happen for you just by doing it one time. It's like if you want to become a great basketball player or you want to get your college degree, you know you have to follow a ritual and a routine. And so it is the same with mindfulness. What you practice every day grows, and then that's what you are. And so I'd love to hear from you guys on how your meditation went.
So in the beginning, hi, my name is Mia. I was pretty excited in the beginning, and then probably towards the end, I started to feel frustrated, kind of like, and like, I guess just the experience in itself, which is something that I've been feeling a lot lately, just personally from so much stress that's been going on. So I think that I took that in just bringing awareness to how that's been manifesting in my life and in my relationships. So I guess my question is, if I was to start this habit in my life, like how often should I do it in a day? Like twice a day or so? And for how long, if I'm just gonna begin, if I'm a beginner?
That's a really great question, Mia. And I just want to tell you that sometimes when I'm meditating, I want to stop and run out the house. I don't want you all to think I am the Zen mindfulness leader. I'm human. And it's kind of like, you know how sometimes you don't want to eat, but if you don't eat, you're going to get sick and your head's going to hurt because you skipped lunch and dinner, and now you know why you feel bad. It's the same with meditation. Like, I'm not always excited to sit and meditate, and sometimes I'm anxious. I want to be done with it already, but I know that I'm not going to get this buzz if I don't do this every day. So for you, for everybody, I recommend to do it at least once a day, up to 15 minutes. And it's okay if you feel some type of way of not wanting to sit there the whole time and your thoughts come up. You're human. Of course that happens. You know what I mean? And so all you could do is build on it. And if you invest in yourself, you're the best project. You will see that you get like a buzz from meditating versus when you skip days. So it only works. Whatever you put into it, that's what you get out of it. So every day for the rest of your life for 15 minutes. It's like me telling you, make sure you shower and brush your teeth every day. Make sure you exercise sometimes, you know. It's obtaining this peace is not going to come naturally, especially in the world that we live in today, right? And especially all you students who are like, oh, I got to get this to this class. I got to do great in this class. You know what I'm saying? And then the pressure is even more when you're out of school. And so it's just, anything that you can incorporate into your life to practice every day, that's what you're going to equal at the end of the year, the end of the month, the end of your life. And so if you want to give yourself this peace, this clarity, you practice it every day. And it's totally normal that you don't feel like doing it when you're doing it, as long as you do it, you know. Sometimes I don't want to get out of bed because I'm exhausted, but you know, then my kids won't get to school and I have to make myself do it, right? That sort of thing. I hope that was helpful, Mia. Okay, great. What else you guys got? I love questions.
So I actually, as a nun, when you come into the convent, the first exercise you meet is this meditation. And I must commend you, Mona, because it's kind of a practice that sometimes one don't get orientation in it to understand the benefit of it. So it's an orientation we do, and we do it. And when I started, each time we do it is sleeping time for me. So I just sleep and wait for the time to be over. But as time goes on, you know, getting used into it, you see how it goes. But for this one, when we started, it's always time for you to remember one or two things because you are quiet and you are in touch with yourself. You remember you have this, I have to do blah, blah, blah. That was the first thing that came to my mind. And I know you gave us the rule to wander and come back. And I will tell myself, you are wandering, Maria, why not be back? Then I will just come back and keep listening to that drizzling water that says to me, peace, peace, peace. And at the time I see myself wander again, you know. So that was what happened to me right now during this exercise. It's not an easy exercise, but it's awesome. And I thank you so much for the insight.
Thank you so much for sharing. It's kind of like prayer, right? You sit in prayer every day, right, sister? And so meditation is just another form of just, you know, removing all this garbage to have the clarity to connect to your higher self, you know. And another thing, the most important thing, you know, to be honest with you, meditation really helped me find my life's purpose in serving the youth. Because when you get so quiet, you hear your higher self, that you have to live from that space and you have to follow those orders, you know. And if you're religious, you know what I'm talking about. And if you're not religious, that's okay. We all have like a purpose. And I have to say, one of the benefits of meditation is tapping into your life's purpose and living from this space. There's no greater joy in the world, you know. And so thank you so much for sharing, sister. I appreciate that. Anybody have any other questions? Nobody was irritated for 12 minutes? Nobody wanted to run out of their seats? It was just me? You all zenned out?
No, I can relate. I don't know if anybody else is gonna go, but I mean, I guess I feel the same way. I think like while I was trying to meditate, I kept hearing noises around me. Like I'm right here by the train. So the train was going by. I kept hearing doors and locks and cabinets or whatever it was going on around me. So I would find myself falling into it, but then I would hear a noise and then it's like, okay, that's distracting. Or like a train will pass by and then it becomes very distracting. So it's hard to kind of stay in that element when you're hearing a bunch of things going on at one time. So it was irritating.
But you know what, Casey, you know what you could do next time? Because we have that problem when we're together in a school setting and, you know, you hear kids outside. We use all that as a mantra. Any unwanted noise that you don't want, use it as a mantra. Like, you know, even if kids are fighting in the hallway, we use it as a mantra. The train, we use everything as a mantra, because the point of meditation is to get you off of your thoughts. It's not to sit in complete pure bliss. That rarely happens. It's just to stop that chatter and the thoughts of your mind going like this. So if you listen to the train, to the door, the creak, the sound, it's slow. It doesn't matter what that distraction is of the mantra. You just have to flip the perspective in your mind. This is not irritation. This is actually working for me, because that's another sound I can focus on and trick myself from not having thoughts, or having the thoughts and having that removal. You see what I mean? It's just, we in this society have made like, you have to be like this when you're meditating, and you can't breathe and you can't move. And that's why I purposely leave my camera on, to show you I'm not perfect at doing this. Nobody's supposed to be perfect at doing this. You feel like you want to open your eyes, your dog is barking, it's too sunny. It's all normal. You just have to use it as your mantra. And once you look at it that way, the next time you sit and meditate, Casey, you're going to appreciate all the noise, because it's going to be like, whoa, I actually had a lot of peace in that meditation. I felt more clear. I hope that was helpful, but you did it correctly. And because you're doing it for the first time, and you're sitting and you're having awareness, that's just what you're reporting back, and that's completely normal. But just flip it in your mind and use it all as your mantra. Because I swear, you could even ask Julia, our lead instructor. That is exactly what we do in the classroom. Yeah. Anybody else? You guys want to go into asking me questions from the chat?
Actually, can I just go off of something that Casey said?
Yes.
I just want to respond to it a little bit. I think that, actually during my meditation, I had my eyes open most of the time. And I feel like it helped me, because when I close my eyes, sometimes I just like start to spiral and think about all of like the things that are happening around me. But if I like if I like focus on something in my room or something, like I looked at at a picture, and then I looked at the leaves that were blowing, I felt like it helped me in that moment. It grounded me in that moment.
I think that's wonderful that you use that technique, but you do want to close your eyes, because you want to be this high with your emotions when you meditate. And for me, I also open my eyes during meditation, and sometimes like I'll stare at a plant and it helps me. But I really want to transcend and like use this to the optimal and make myself feel the best. And so you do have to have your eyes closed. Now, what you're doing is a form of meditation, because sometimes I will sit and stare at my cactus, for example, for 15 minutes, because I'm so overwhelmed with thoughts and there's so much to do, that it just is nice to zone out. But it's just a little different than meditation. I hope that makes sense. And I appreciate you sharing what works for you, and some ways we can trick ourselves into getting into this. I think that's wonderful.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Perfect. Well, I'm so sorry to come in, but we are a little bit over time, so we're gonna have to go ahead and wrap discussion and close everything. But Mona, we wanted to thank you so much. The Egan thanks you for coming today and doing this wonderful presentation on mindfulness and mental health. And you are so amazing. And so again, we just wanted to say thank you. We all hope you enjoyed this conversation. Thank you for joining us. And then now I'm going to pass it over to Cree for final remarks. But thank you again, Mona.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Casey, for saying thank you to Mona. We really appreciate you. I think this was a great way to kind of really help us kick into finals as we go in. So for final remarks, I just want to say thank you so much to all who came out here tonight and just enjoy this wonderful presentation. I know I really learned some things. I hope you all did. Secondly, I want to say thank you to the director, John Ziegler, and assistant director, Monica Ramos, for just supporting us and being there for us and letting us do our thing. And also the Mosaics team, Casey and Annabelle, thank you for being incredible facilitators. And also to Devin, who put together this program, really helped to kind of organize everything. Angela, who did the background research, really did everything to kind of understand what mindfulness was before we went in, so we kind of came in kind of knowing. And then last but not least, Miss Allie Johnson, who did all the promotion, helped with the tech, was running all these things when we were like struggling. So thank you so, so much. This team is just awesome and awesome, awesome, awesome. So if you have any questions about the Egan office, feel free to look at our website. If you want to know more about Mona's program, please go to the website, mindfulnesspractice.org.
No, it's mindfulnessleader.org.
There we go. And I know
mindfulness leader in this program. You're the mindfulness leader. Mindfulnessleader.org.
mindfulnessleader.org. Yes, please go check them out. Thank you so, so much. And till next time, the Mosaics will be next quarter, and we will see you all again, hopefully. All right, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much. This is wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Sophia and Diana, we conclude. Thank you all for coming. Okay. Thank you so much, Sophia.
She might not. Oh, I was gonna say she might not be there.
Cool.
This is like when I'm in the Google class and I have to remove students.
Yeah.
It's so cute. I'm like, oh, you fell asleep. I had to remove you.
Thanks for staying a little over, Miss Mano. We really appreciate that. I hope the questions were on par with what you wanted to talk about. And yeah, thank you for that. We really appreciate you today.
No, thank you guys. I had so much fun. And I honestly, like, those were really great questions that everybody had. And the reason I wanted a little bit of interaction with just a couple of people, and Casey, I like the back and forth because people are shy and they feel like they're stupid for even asking that question. You know what I mean? And so that's why I like to share like my insecurities and my thoughts, because the more real and authentic you could be, then the more you can sell this, this piece that you can give to yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's just like people want to do all this great stuff, but don't actually want to take the time to create it within themselves. And so that's kind of what I was touching on. And we'll have our curriculum ready by the end of the year if DePaul wants to license it or anything like that. I mean, we've packaged up basically 26 manuals. And these programs are shown to work because the city of Chicago that funds us has been surveying all of our students all this time. So it is successful. It works, and I love that you guys were talking about incorporating some kind of mindfulness practice within your department to help parents, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and because if you don't display it, it's like saying everybody's going to eat right. I'm going to McDonald's. I'll be right back. But everybody eat a salad, okay? And that's kind of what we do with mindfulness. We're just like, be positive. Yeah. Go meditate. But it's more. It's a whole culture. You know what I mean? It's beyond the kindness campaign. It's like you have to give that piece if you want to see that piece, and then you model it for people, and then they model it for other people. I mean, I have gangbangers reforming their gangbanger friends on mindfulness because they really liked the program and it brought peace to them. I had a student, a couple of years ago, and I just think that if, we could all be patient with one another and try to expose to different things that do work, have a little bit of different perspective that,
Yeah, I think that everyone could benefit from it. I think that's why everyone was so interested and had so many questions. Because like you said it, or the video said, I think it's immediately available, like you have that power within you already. And so I really appreciated it when you gave that advice for how we can implement it. And we will probably, I know that I will, for my partnered school, be reaching out to you. I know my parents would really be able to benefit from your program. So I'm excited to have you in my Rolodex of resources, and we'll share your information with the rest of us as well. We're gonna debrief with the team really quickly. So I just wanted to say that, but I did wanna say that I definitely will be utilizing you in the future, because I like how your program is so digestible and easy,
Yeah.
for everyone to get involved with.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. And I feel like Casey and I are gonna go do like a show